Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Historic Homeowner Fair. We're glad you found us early on Saturday morning. This first session is one of 4 sessions that we'll have today. It's all about climate. Here in San Antonio, we have guest speakers from the San Antonio water system. So we'll hear from Gail Duggleby. Is a SAWS conservation consultant with deep roots in the San Antonio and Hill Country area. She spent her youth climbing trees, playing in the Guadalupe River, and exploring the outdoors. This drives her passion for nature and our diverse environment, especially our most precious natural resource, water. Given the choice, she would like to be outside all the time.
All the time.
And then we have Juan Solis, who has left the building. He'll be back. And he is a senior conservation planner for SAWS. Since joining SAWS in 2007, his duties have focused on residential water use. He works with his conservation colleagues to help customers find ways to reduce outdoor usage without compromising the health and aesthetic quality of their landscapes. But first, we have Dr. Jenny Hay with our Office of Historic Preservation staff. She is our ScoutSA Manager. Prior to joining OHB, she worked for the Department of Interior responding to Deepwater Horizon oil spill in the Gulf of Mexico and studying community resilience in coastal communities. Her background in geography and anthropology fuels her interest at the intersection of cultural heritage and climate action. And with that, I'll kick it over to Jenny.
Thank you, Corey. Corey is our Deputy Historic Preservation Officer at the City of San Antonio's Office of Historic Preservation. He didn't introduce himself, but okay. So I am really glad to speak with you this morning. This is exciting news in our office that we have received a grant from the National Endowment for the Humanities to fund the creation of the nation's first climate heritage strategic plan. We are going to be kicking this off in the next couple of months, and I'm really happy to introduce you guys to it because what's especially unique about this planning process is that we are building it from the ground up. We will be doing community listening sessions in order to determine what our goals and values will be, and so I'm really pleased to hear what you guys think of this after we finish. So just a little bit of orientation for us here. So what is climate heritage? So this is sort of an idea that came together a couple of years ago, actually in San Francisco, when a group of cultural heritage specialists from across the world came together and decided that cultural heritage was being left out of the conversation for climate action and that we belonged at the table. And so we sort of formed this really people-centered, place-based approach where we were providing guidance and support to our partners in sustainability and climate action using the knowledge and resources that we have as cultural heritage specialists. So I'm going to use a couple of terms today, adaptation and mitigation. So these are the 2 sort of strategies that we're going to be utilizing to come at climate action. So adaptation, what we're asking basically is how do we protect those places that are most important to us from any impacts from climate change, okay? So when we think about cultural heritage and climate change, this is probably what comes top of mind, right? What's going to happen to the places I care the most about? So we need to figure out how do we need to adapt so that those places remain and are safe in the face of this changing climate. Second, we have mitigation, which is sort of coming at this from the opposite side. So how can our historic resources help reduce the risk to our community related to climate change and hazards? So we very firmly believe that our historic resources, both buildings, so tangible resources, and culture, intangible resources, have an important role to play in climate action. I'm going to explain a little bit of what that really looks like on the ground. So I think it's very important at this stage to say, we've been looking at the missions, we're surrounded by these beautiful paintings. It's not just the landmarks that really matter in this conversation. So cultural significance lives not just in our sort of most prestigious, World Heritage sites, but also in our legacy neighborhoods all around our community. Cultural heritage is what gives us a sense of place. It gives us a community identity. That idea of social memory, like those things that we all share as San Antonians, those are all given to us through cultural heritage. We also think that it's very important for us to be thinking about our existing buildings in order to preserve affordability. So 60% of our structures, existing structures, are going to be here for another 50 years. And so we need to be thinking about how to change and adapt to those existing structures so that they can last for an additional 50 years, keeping the families that live in them safe, right? And then finally, this is my favorite part. So I think of our neighborhoods as carbon banks. So we have been investing carbon into our neighborhoods through building the houses, restoring and repairing those houses. Every bit of that carbon has a value, and keeping it there instead of returning it to the atmosphere through putting it in a landfill is one very effective strategy to fight climate change. Okay, so adaptation, what could this look like? So the point of adaptation is to avoid harm to our historic resources. So we're protecting them from the extremes that we're expecting, so extreme precipitation events, extreme drought, extreme temperatures that we all experienced this last year. And then also relying on the traditional practices that were used to construct these homes. So thinking about how our building techniques can help us adapt to this, to changing climate, and then also design things to be repaired rather than replaced, and reuse materials. And I think some of you know that we have a material innovation center down at ScoutSA that actually is accepting salvaged materials from deconstructed houses, and those materials are actually already being used in affordable housing repair here in San Antonio. So we're leading the way there too. Okay, let's talk about mitigation. I really like Sally the turkey here. She's one of my favorite friends that we have made through reuse of materials. So in order to slow climate change, we need to do things like reduce energy consumption. Of course, that means efficient appliances, but it also means weatherproofing our houses, right? Figuring out how to make our houses more efficient. We need to increase carbon-free energy, and so some of you might know this. The state, a couple of years ago, passed a law saying that solar panels could not be reviewed by the historic preservation offices, and so solar panels can be installed in all historic districts, which is definitely pushing us on in that sort of direction to increase carbon-free energy. And then again, advancing the circular economy, so supporting repair cafes, making sure that those reused and salvaged materials are available and affordable. Okay, and I mentioned this Climate Heritage Strategic Plan is using a pretty innovative approach. We're going to be conducting listening sessions where the community really gets to drive that conversation. We want to know what things are most important to you, what places and traditions are most important to you, so that we are able to formulate a plan that will preserve those. We'll then be doing small group intensive conversations with stakeholder groups, so we know that within the construction industry, within many of our community organizations and nonprofits, within museums, everybody has different needs, and so we want to make sure that we're listening to what those needs are. And then finally, because of course it is a public plan, we'll be presenting it to the Historic and Design Review Commission and then to City Council. So some of the recommendations that may come out of this, just kind of thinking broadly about what some of the things that the Historic Preservation Office already knows could be improved. So we might see some changes to our historic design guidelines. We might see new policy documents that encourage sustainable practices. We could improve our processes so that we streamline renovations, or approvals rather, of renovations that are considered climate-wise. We could do carbon evaluations of various interventions, so helping inform you of what the most climate-wise solution might be for your renovation project. And then measurement of avoided carbon and adaptive reuse projects. So we all know that the greenest building is the one that's already here. And so we want you to be empowered to understand when you restore your own structure, what kind of contribution you are making to climate action through that decision. And that is the end of my presentation. We have time for a couple of questions if anybody has any. Yes?
You mentioned repair cafes.
Yeah.
What exactly is that?
Oh, what a great question. So repair cafes are essentially community training or workshops where you bring items to be repaired and learn how to repair them instead of throwing them away. A really good example of this is medical equipment. So medical equipment like walkers, like wheelchairs, like those kind of things, they're very expensive and sometimes they break, but they can be repaired. And so making sure that people have the equipment and the knowledge to do that would be this kind of a cafe. And tools, great tools, thank you. Yeah?
Is this PowerPoint available anywhere? And are you looking for like community members to be more intentionally involved outside of the listening sessions to help guide that process?
Yes, we would love for you to be involved, and this PowerPoint will go on our Climate Heritage website, sa.gov/historic. we have a section specifically about climate heritage. So yeah, and I'll give you my contact information, but it's also available on the website. And anybody interested in being more involved is welcome to email me. Yes.
So I know that you focus on buildings and you talked about tangible, intangible, including culture.
Yes.
And being the nature girl, I am curious as to, it's probably not within the purview of this grant, but is there any thoughts or plans in any organization about the natural resources that will be impacted and by climate change and how we can do what we can do? Some things are gonna be not within our control, but I'm thinking about places along the San Antonio River, places along the Medina River that really have, a cultural significance.
Yeah, so the question is about natural resources, and this is actually a particular passion of mine. So I actually think that there's so much overlap that we can't help but talk about it. So a really good example would be food. Food is intangible culture, and so there are species of fruits and vegetables that have been propagated here for hundreds or thousands of years that are culturally important to us, and we need to make sure that we're understanding how climate change is going to impact that. I think water is the same,
Yeah,
right?
right.
So yes, maybe not from a nature first perspective, but I do think that it will be included.
Yeah, so human need of nature factors. Yeah, I got you. Great.
Anything else? This is the first time I've talked about this publicly, so thank you.
That's brand new.
Gal and one, did you want to come grab a seat up here? And then, Gal, I can sit here and.
That'd be great.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. I'm pretty good without a microphone, but can you hear me now? Is it better with the microphone?
Yeah.
That's better.
Okay, great. Okay, I am Gail Emery, and as you heard, I want to be outside all the time. And luckily with my job, I pretty much get to be outside all the time. What I and 5 of my coworkers do on a daily basis is we go to SAW's customers' houses and we do irrigation consults, but we are assessing their irrigation. But we're also giving them landscaping advice, helping to make their yards more resilient to the climate changes that we've been having. And I'm going to talk about it in the PowerPoint, but we were going through hotter and hotter summers. We are having more severe freezes. And so some of the things that have been working for years, for decades, aren't necessarily working as well now. And I and my coworkers get to kind of help guide people. And we're going to talk about some of those things now today. So I'm going to figure out where to stand so I don't keep walking back and forth across the light. So yeah, okay, great. As I mentioned, the past few years, we've been going through extreme heats. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Okay, there.
Right there,
Good?
perfect. Thank you.
Extreme heats. Last year, we had the hottest, driest summer on record. And I heard on NPR the new term for what we went through, a hot drought, which is worse than just a drought. And sometimes when I talk to the customers, they're like, it's never looked like this before. And well, it's never gone through this before, right? And there's drought, and then there's heat. And to a degree, we can fix drought with water. We don't want you to drown anybody, but you can't always fix heat. And I can't think of how you can fix heat. So the things that aren't working now are probably not gonna work in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Let's see. Did your grass die over the summer? Are you struggling with?
Yes.
Yeah, oh yes, sorry. I was like, do you have a question? And then many of us have ornamental and just plants that we like that aren't necessarily native to here. And some of them aren't making it. Some of them are, but most of them are looking pretty tough. Like the roses, they'll make it through the freeze, but they sure didn't like that summer, did they? All right, so let's try and make some resilient landscaping plans. So why consider less grass? Well, first of all, it's a lot more diverse. You've got a lot less things to maintain, like mowing and weed eating, etc. But it saves water, it saves money, it reduces the heat island, and we know we have enough heat island, thank you. Go ahead. And then here's the cool part. historic lawns. But most of the time in the past, the historic districts have said 50% lawn must be maintained. Historic turf. But now we've changed it to 50% green space. This is a shift, a crack in the universe, and you can go out and take so much advantage of it and make your yard look better, and it's gonna save you money, and it's gonna make the entire climate area a little bit cooler than the grass and the turf. Not only that, but you're gonna be able to bring butterflies and birds to your yard. So, you know, it's more interesting, less maintenance, less cost, more friendly. Go ahead. So, things to know, that this is like the asterisk before I go telling you all the beautiful things you could do. Expect summers to be brutal, okay? And then here's what we want you to do. Don't necessarily plant in spring. Plan your project in spring. Prep your yard or wherever your project area in summer. And then plant in fall. Because when you put those plants in the fall, they're gonna have a much milder time to get established, okay? If you put them in the spring, they're immediately gonna get slapped. Sometimes in Mother's Day, May 22, it was 100 degrees. So put them in the fall. We probably won't get 100 degrees in October. I might have jinxed us, but let's say no. And then the other thing is, all of us need to be aware that SAWS is proposing changes to the watering rules. Now, some of it has to do with energy, how we can work with CPS to not have a lot of night use when everybody goes to water at night and it pumps up the electrical need. And anyway, so it's go to wateringrules.com. First of all, there's a survey that you can take, but as you scroll down, there's videos that you can look and see what the changes are. Does everybody know what the stage 2 rules are right now? I mean, so, no. Okay, so you have one watering day per week, and it is assigned based on the last digit of your house address, right? 0 to 1 is Monday, 2 to 3 is Tuesday, etc. And then your watering windows are 7 to 11 a.m., 7 to 11 p.m. So one day a week, 7 to 11, 7 to 11, right? Well, we are making some changes, proposed changes. It's got to go to city council. The other thing is that we have been giving citations for people who are not watering during their watering window. But there are areas of town where the City of San Antonio ordinance does not have any sway. Think of municipalities, small towns, etc., or unincorporated areas. Well, if they're a SAWS customer, you know, we want everybody to be fairly treated. Same rules apply to everybody. So that's another one of the changes. So please take time to go to wateringrules.com, find out what the changes are, and give the survey your feedback so we know your thoughts on it, okay? But that's it for that. It's gonna be brutal, so let's talk about, now these next 2 slides, I'm gonna go through real quickly because we've printed them out and hopefully you got them when you were first walking in. So, the Historic District says there's a lot of do's and don'ts, but here's what you can do. Next slide. Oh, sorry, that one was what you can't do. No, what can you do without even asking that? Now, here's what you can do, but you need to ask them. Next slide, thank you. And here's what you can't do. And these make sense if you think about them. So, you know, we'll look at your page and follow those. Now, next one.
That's what I can't do. There were 2 dues
Yes.
and 1.
No, there was one that you don't even have to ask.
Right.
You don't even need approval. Next one is do with approval. This is don't. Okay, go ahead. And now we're going to go into beautiful examples. Let's say that you are lucky enough to have, these are all San Antonio, by the way. So let's say you're lucky enough to have some big mature trees. That means you have some nice shade. And you don't want to get rid of it knowing how hot you get. But grass doesn't like shade. And your grass may be struggling when you combine heat and shade, right? So here, there's tons and tons of plants that do well in shade and use less water. I mean, basically, plants use less water than grass, period. So anytime you put a plant in instead of grass, that's less water, less maintenance. And then it gives your yard a whole different feel. It's not just monoculture. You've got all kinds of textures and colors and things like that. Needs less water. Go ahead. And then, even if you have sun. Now this particular house used to have this great big red oak that fell over one day. And so she had to relearn all over landscaping. And I think she did a terrific job. You've got all kinds of color pops, you've got great use of pots along the fence, but mostly use less water, right? And these are mostly all in historic districts. Go ahead. And then this one, it's got a great entryway. You're attracting all the butterflies and birds to this whole thing. And you still got the grass over there. So you've got that whole good 1/3, 1/3, 1/3, where it's 1/3 bedding plants, 1/3 grass, and 1/3 hardscape. So this has got great color and entryway appeal and needs less water. Go ahead. This one, people think that they have to have grass if they're going to sell their house. I gotta maintain it because when I sell the house, that's what's gonna sell. Well, this house was redone in its landscaping for sale. This is its MLS picture. They took out the grass, they put in all this for its sale because it does actually improve the quality and the value of the house. And you can change things up seasonally. Grass is either green or that kind of golden brown that you're worrying about, or worse. This needs less water. And then this one, I want you to imagine if this was just all grass. It's pretty boring, in my humble opinion. This landscaping is way more interesting. And you've got rows, and you've got little sections, you've got color pops, you've got blooms, and it needs less water. And then, this is again where we're gonna talk about that 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. So you can use hardscaping not only to have a place for you to go and do your outdoor living, but also to have less maintenance. And we have programs, which Juan is gonna talk about, that will help incentivize you for this. Actual rebates, not credit to your bill, it's pretty cool. But then again, you still can have your grass as a part of it. But then good use of pots, good use of hardscape, a little bit of grass. Landscape bliss. Go ahead. And then containers are just another great way to kind of take up space where you don't necessarily, or your grass is struggling, and what are you gonna put there? Also, how many of us have slope that, first of all, it's hard to keep the water from running off. Second of all, it's just hard to maintain. And this terraced kind of thing with the steps is just way more attractive. Do I need to say it? Needs less water. Go ahead. So now, this is the 1/3, 1/3, 1/3. If you think about your yard, it doesn't have to be this big open canvas of grass. Make it more diverse, more interesting. It's definitely going to invite you out there a lot more than a big sunny 108-degree grass is. But then you can incorporate some interesting features in. And we've got 2 programs that will help you with the bedding plants and the hardscape. So go ahead. Now this is an actual example from not a historic district, but a historic house. It's been there for a minute. So when this person bought this house in 2017, that's what it looked like. And in just a few short years, using our WaterSaver landscape coupons, this is what he did. And you can barely see it, but what he's done is frame his grass. He's got grass in that very center, but all around it is the bedding plants. And he doesn't have to water them because they are established native plants. And it looks beautiful. Go ahead. And this is where I turn over to my esteemed Juan.
Thank you. All right, so what can SOS do to help you make these transformations, right? It's fun to talk about them, things to strive for, but I need help. So hopefully SOS has programs, and I think we do, to help you make those transformations. So the ones I'm going to touch on are, starting from the landscape coupon, the outdoor living rebate. We're hitting those 1/3 that Gail mentioned. The other one is the WaterSaver Rewards program. And then the last one is the irrigation design rebate. Now, I'll ask right now, how many of you here today have an irrigation system right now? Okay. Have any of you that raised your hand had a free irrigation consultation from SOS?
Call me.
Yes. So, up front, there was this one pager with a QR code. So if you take the time to go into it, you look for the irrigation consultation. So there's a phone number there so you can call and make an appointment. It's free. It is absolutely, in my opinion, the best thing we offer our customers. Because there might be something going on with your irrigation controller that you may be unaware of. And our people are very good at going through the system and finding all those issues that you may have going on. Plus, they give you great watering advice as well. That is absolutely the foundation for any of our programs, if you have an irrigation system, is to have that done first. So that's number one right there, okay? Let's go to the next slide. Oh, whoa.
You told me to put rewards before.
Oh, okay, sorry, I was not expecting that one. It's all good. So the rewards program. So this program is fairly new, but what it does, it encourages our customers to attend workshops or presentations like this, and sometimes those presentations are rewards eligible. This one is not rewards eligible, but there are others that are, and we have a calendar on our website, and again, this is a QR code to get to it, where you can see all the different programs that are listed starting now. They're coming in, they're being scheduled throughout the year. So what you do is you go and learn about gardening, you learn about what you can do to DIY some of these projects yourself, or how to deal with a landscaper. There's one that's offered by the San Antonio Botanical Garden, where it encourages you, like, okay, what to ask of your landscape designer or groundskeeper, whatever the case may be, to make you a better consumer. Those classes are rewards eligible. So those points that you earn turn into coupons. So right now there's a $30, a $50, and a $70 coupon that you can earn. So it's a point system. If you earn 3, you get a $30 coupon. 2 more points for a total of 5 gets you a $50 coupon. Do you have a question? Yes, go ahead.
Are those opportunities like free opportunities? Are they registration with fees?
Some of them are. Some are free, others are not. It's a great question, by the way, because I did mention the Botanical Garden, and they do tend to have a fee attached to them. But there are other organizations such as Mitchell Lake, or Green Spaces, or Gardening Volunteers in South Texas, and Bexar County Master Gardeners. They offer a lot of classes that are free. Okay, so it's a mixture. Yes, very good question. So as you earn these points, we are actually paying you to learn. But you can use these coupons to make purchases like tools, if you might need them, a watering hose, if you might need them. We want to encourage you to hand water versus using your irrigation system, for example. Or you can actually buy a plant, like that mountain laurel you got there. You can use it to buy that if you didn't get it free today. Okay? So let's go to the next slide. So the landscape coupon, this coupon has been offered since 2013. And what this does is that for every 200 square feet of water demanding grass that you remove and replace it with a new landscape bed, you use this coupon to purchase 15 plants that you're going to put in that new landscape bed. So these is a selection of plants. There's 40 varieties, or say 40 species, and up to over 100 varieties. I always get that mixed up. So there's everything from ground cover, okay, to small ornamental trees, like the mountain laurel. That's on that program. Crepe myrtles as well. But there are, like I said, everything from down to the ground to a little bit about 12 feet tall that you can incorporate into your landscapes. So this is a seasonal program. It's not available right now, but it's going to launch on March 1st, and it's available through October 15th. But I would definitely encourage you, as Gail said earlier, consider how this year is going to be. We think it's going to be very similar to last year. It's going to be pretty brutal. So plan your landscape transformation, especially when it comes to this particular program. Let's go to our next one. So this is an example of what a customer has done. So you can tell this is the coolest because they send in a picture. It requires a before and after. The before, they outline what they were going to do, the grass that we're going to remove. Then they use 4 coupons, which is what you can ask for when you apply. And they bought their coupon, their plans, and they installed it in the new landscape bed. So it encourages you to do that. 800 square feet.
You don't have to go that big.
Yeah, you don't. You can do one at a time, whatever you can take on. Because it can be overwhelming. Gardening is not easy. And the way this program was designed is for the beginner gardener. It's almost like plant by number type of thing. Okay? So I encourage you again to go to our website. There's a lot of information in terms of design and how to lay them out. As you can see, these are spaced out considering the maturity, their size and maturity, because you don't want to crowd your plants either. So there's a lot of things that go into planting, and all that information is on our website, ScoutSA. Okay, let's go to the next one. So the other program we have is outdoor living, the other third that Gail mentioned. So for that one, we want to encourage folks to create outdoor spaces, but not entirely on concrete. These are all permeable options. So you can use a paver. It can be anywhere from a 12 by 12 to I've seen as big as 24 by 24. Like in your big box stores, and we all know which ones those are, that you can go and purchase those. The coupon, you have to go to a particular vendor to redeem them. But with this program, which is a rebate, you can go and purchase the material wherever you find the best bargains. Okay, that's a distinction between the coupon and the rebate programs that we offer. And again, I cannot say this enough. Go to our website and read the details about every program that you may be interested in. Okay, so this particular program, the minimum that you must commit to is at least 200 square feet of transformation for $300 rebate. And it maxes out at $1,000 for anything over 600 square feet. You can use the 12 by 12 pavers, stepping stones, or a deck. The deck is a great option if you have some elevation issues. That's far more practical than creating like a flagstone feature, for example. So that option is there. You can combine both, actually. A deck and a flagstone feature or paper feature. That's up to you. But it must be at least 200 square feet. All right? Continue. This is an example. Kind of obvious flagstone, but the important thing is this is permeable. In other words, between the flagstone is just crushed granite. So that water, when it does rain, it goes through between the flagstone and it helps with your overall soil moisture retention. Because if this were concrete, a slab, it would not have that, it would not give you that advantage. Okay? Let's go to the next slide. This is just yet another feature how you can combine different elements and, small ground covers or loaded ground covers. You can get as creative as you like, and we encourage that. Go ahead. Okay, so I've been mentioning garden style a lot, and it truly is a treasure trove of information when it comes to landscaping in San Antonio. That's why we have it, that's why we call it Garden Style SA. It's specifically made or created to garden in San Antonio, where it's very challenging. We in our department, we get to greet a lot of the folks that are moving into San Antonio. And it's like, oh, I cannot garden here. It's so different here. Yes, it's different, we're special. So, but it's a challenge. So this is very specific to new gardeners or new arrivals, whoever you may be, whatever level of gardening experience you may have. There's a lot of information here that I think will be interesting, if not helpful. Okay? So I encourage you to visit that website, and hopefully we still have time for some questions. Gail, come on up here.
Here.
Any questions? Is anyone familiar with our programs? Anyone taking advantage of any that I mentioned?
No.
Where have you
No,
been?
she has.
Oh, good.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So we're talking about a lot about historical neighborhoods, etc. What if you have a couple homes that are not in historical particular neighborhoods?
This is for all sales
For all
customers.
sales.
But when I gave the change in the historic districts from 50% green lawn to 50% green space, that is really focusing on your historic.
I just want you to know that new homes that have really weird HOAs get the same pushback, okay? So now, everybody's getting and realizing that grass is dying. It's just not making it. So HOAs, the historic district, have all realized that it doesn't have to just be grass. Luckily, we're still pushing for that green, 50% green or more, but it's for everybody. We just like for this one to focus on that shift that they did in 2022 that opens the door for you guys to enjoy our programs.
Yeah, it's older homes.
Mhm,
And
right.
the last thing I ever want is grass.
Yay.
Because I also don't have to mow it.
Yeah, exactly. When you talk about the maintenance, I'm just gonna tell you that I got rid of my mower, and it was like this moment of like, just great.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so we're a non-SAWS. We live outside of Bear County, so we're Wilson County. So I'm not sure what we can take advantage of. Can we use coupons or?
Unfortunately, no, it's only available to SAWS water customers.
Okay.
But the information that we have on our website, we share with everyone. As a
Oh,
matter of
yeah.
fact,
You can still go and learn about and do the things that we're saying, you just can't use the coupons or the rebates, sorry.
No problem.
Yeah,
But
and
use this as a tool for information.
we get shout
Right.
outs from all parts of the country.
So another thing that we have on our website is a lot of how-to videos. Some of it is irrigation, but a lot of it is gardening. So go to that, we have articles, it's a wealth of information.
Did you read
Yeah, I just did, I didn't, I'm gonna do it now. though.
Okay.
But, when you talk about your irrigation systems, you all will come out and look at those?
Yes,
you said?
so what I do is, you have a controller. I'm gonna write down the settings that are on that controller. And then when I'm running the system, I'm checking out each zone, both for how many minutes is this running and how many minutes do I recommend for this to run? 25? No, you really only have to run at 17. But then I get the gallons per minute from the meter, so I calculate what your settings are gonna run in a month. So you know it's using 75% of your water bill. And then you look at, I'm gonna calculate what my recommendations are, so you can see what that savings in gallons. Usually, I would say that I save people at least 3,000 gallons a month. Sometimes 66,000 gallons in a month. It's amazing. Controllers are weird. But yeah, I do all that.
We have a hand up.
Oh, what?
Oh,
He has
sorry.
a follow-up.
Oh, follow-up. I'm sorry, we'll get to you in a minute.
And I did call SAWS, but I haven't set anything up yet, that's my plan.
Yeah.
But being as the irrigation systems, is it more of an incentive when you take out, because they mentioned something
Oh,
about
yeah.
taking out the
So,
irrigation system?
In addition to assessing and telling you what's wrong with your irrigation and giving you recommendations for how long to run your controller, we have rebates. There are rebates for removing a zone. Think about your side yard that it's not doing well and you don't use it. You can take that out and get a rebate. Usually anywhere between $200 to $350 per zone. Then there are, if you have high pressure, pressure reducing heads. If you get that, it's usually about $80 per zone to help cover the cost of the heads. And then if you want to go big, which I want you to, take out your whole system, we're talking thousands of dollars that they will send you a check for. Yep.
Now we can go back.
One word of caution, I've used your coupons before and they're very helpful, thank you so much. But I was I solarized the 200 square feet during the summer, so it cooked the root, grass right down to the roots, which was great. But I waited until the fall to plant.
Yep.
And as you mentioned, we're having these extreme freezes now that we may never, in ways that we haven't experienced before.
Correct.
Well, so I got my 15 plants, put them in the ground. They all died in the Uri storm. It's the north side of the house. I think one Mexican honeysuckle survived.
And so we recently had a freeze that wiped down a lot of stuff too, and did a lot of especially above ground death. Winter Storm Uri was extraordinary. Normally we have freezes and they're overnight, and then in the daytime somehow it gets above 32. But with Winter Storm Uri, we had 104 straight solid hours of in the teens or lower. So that wiped out things that never died before. So I don't know that we can prepare or protect enough for a Winter Storm Uri, but we can usually prepare and protect for our normal freezes. And I'm sorry that you planted at that moment, and I wish there was a little insurance for, and if another Uri happens, it's
I
more
wanted
plants.
a do-over, I wanted with my plants.
So what I want to encourage you to do this. Are you signed up for our rewards program?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, you can use the coupons that you earned through rewards to purchase plants to replace the ones that die and take another shot at it. While you cannot use another landscape coupon for that area, you can use the coupons that you earn through rewards to make some of those purchases, whatever plants you want. Okay? So you can do that.
We have time for one more question, but we will be here after, outside. So, any more questions? One more in particular?
I think we're done.
Going on?